Video 2, tell us a little more about you and why would you be a good fit for this company. Um, I'm returning to work, to the employment market like after COVID and attending college. Um, I I have experience with managerial duties. I was a supervisor at a veterinarian clinic and an emergency clinic at that, so it was really fast paced, high stress, and I had to distribute all the responsibilities among myself and the other employees to make the best of whatever situation that would pop up. Um, I I think, and I also worked at a greenhouse nursery for a little while, a few months, and it wasn't as fast paced as the ER. But I think it was more my cup of tea because even when it did get busy and we're doing like harvests or transplanting or doing new shipments and stuff, it was way more manageable. And I think I'd be a good fit because I had such a uh, experience in the high stress situations and fast paced jobs and managing people in those kind of situations can get really difficult. And I was able to do that without screaming at anybody or belittling, but not compromising on the fact that we had to get a bunch of things done immediately, to save an animal's life, usually. Um, and I think I would excel in this environment. Um, and I'm pretty good at reading people and situations and things like that. Um, so I think I would be a good fit because I have been in a faster, more higher stressed place and done pretty well. So I think something surrounded by beautiful plants and different things that I'm interested and educated about and trying to manage that situation would work out really, really well, actually. Um, yeah. See, tell us about an accomplishment you're most proud of. Um, I suppose this is going to sound really silly, but when I was a pest control technician, I was only had about 6 months experience on the job, and most everyone in my company, at least in the Palm Springs branch, had been there for 5 years. Was like the person who had been there the least amount of time. Some people had been there for 10 and 15 years, and we ran all the Starbucks pest control management. Um, and this one location had fire ants coming in the dishwasher area, and they were biting the employees, and this has been going on for like 2 years, and these employees were kind of just used to it and just knew that they sprayed everything down with Windex before they would wash dishes. So it was kind of a pain in the butt because the tiles were also very slippery, so it wasn't exactly safe either. But Starbucks has a very strict contract with what pest control and pesticides we can use, what kinds of IPM that we have to utilize in their locations, and they're very, very strict. So I was able to, I knew exactly which pesticide I wanted to use, which always works with fire ants. And it was not a sprayer repellent, which they are really, really against, especially when there's employees or customers like on premises. And so I had been instructed never to use that type of bait indoors. And then I looked at it and I was looking and I read the label and I read it in depth. And then I went into the website for, it's a website specialized for pest control. And you are able to place it inside. And so after 2 years, I was able to solve a 2 year, I was able to solve a 2 year fire ant issue that this Starbucks was happening. Like, so every time I went into that Starbucks after that, I got free drinks all the time because I finally made it to where they stopped getting bit. So yeah, I was pretty proud of myself because I had only been there for 6 months. Um, and tell us about a time where you made a mistake on the job and how did you correct it? I'm going to have to refer back to my same job as before with the Starbucks. I was a pest control technician. Um, it's funny, I had already been doing it for 2 years at this point, and there was this lady, and she had this huge mansion, and she had this guest house in the back. It's a big, huge guest house, probably the size of normal people's houses, and she was getting a lot of activity in her attic, and so I'm thinking roof rats right away, really common out here, especially with all the trees touching the building. She had these huge trees, ficus just everywhere, touching all the roofs. And so first thing I told her, you need to cut those back because I can come in here and kill them all day, but they're going to have a highway straight into your house, and you also need to close up. So I was kind of giving her like a slightly free exclusion report, just saying like, look, any kind of thing that's a ½ inch or bigger, these guys are going to get in. And so we're down there, and I get all my traps. It's summertime, so it's like 150, 160 in this attic. And so I go in and I'm setting all the traps, going in all the corners, going where I think they would be. I didn't see any actual rats up there at the time, but it was daytime, so I was just like, whatever. So then I get down and I'm standing there, and this lady and I are talking, and she was a good customer of mine. So then I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I hear them just, and I'm like, okay. And so then, like, a few days later, I come back, I check the traps, I didn't catch anything, and then all of a sudden, I said, so when are you hearing these? Like, are you? And she goes, oh, I'm still hearing them. They're all over the place up there. And I said, do you hear them at night? And then she was like, no, mostly during the day. And I was just like, because then I realized that, rats are nocturnal, and it's probably all the squirrels that she also had, that she adores, that she feeds regularly too through her garden. It was a little bit farther away from the house, but still close, like within 20 feet, 30 feet. And so I had to explain to her that the reason we're not catching any rats is because they are squirrels, and I made a mistake. I thought they were roof rats, but now that I'm really hearing this story, and I'm really like, it's just hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh my gosh, these must be squirrels. And then I saw, I went back up there to remove the traps. Sure enough, I see the droppings, and they don't look anything like rat droppings. They're like little, anyway, they're little marbles, kind of. And a lot rounder. And so I told her, I said, look, I just looked at the droppings up there. Those are definitely squirrels. We can get safe traps for them. I have to come back and set these traps. We're going to do it outside on the roof. And then we can also release them after that. So they'll be safe, because I know that these are your buddies, but let's get them out of your house, trim your trees, and then we'll get them out of the house. And so it kind of ended up that her problem extended, but she was really happy to hear that I was able to identify the correct problem, the correct pest, and also do it safely, because a lot of pest control companies she had worked for before were just like, let's kill everything, and so she was always happy because she had a huge garden and stuff, and so she was trying to keep a lot of the pests, so usually just fire ants and rats were the only thing she was worried about, which I understood. So anyway, she was just happy because I had to go back and I had to call my manager and tell him that we need these safe traps. And so he went ahead and had to bill it at a totally different type of thing. But we ended up kind of lowering the cost for her because I did evaluate it incorrectly. But she was such a good customer. My boss didn't seem to mind. And I got to, after 2 years, be like, oh, duh. So I learned from that very quickly. Those are the only questions. Final video.